Hillville Piano. Today is a pretty special edition of the NVP Show. Today's going to be mostly college football. I might add a little bit of baseball at the end, but this is basically college football today. So we have a lot of matchups that are going to be happening today. So let's get right to it. The first game we're going to talk about is Michigan State at Notre Dame. This is a pretty interesting matchup. Michigan State number 12 in the country, Notre Dame number 18. If you remember 2 weeks ago in week 1 of the college football season, Notre Dame lost a very tough game against Texas in double overtime. In my opinion, it was the most exciting game of the entire first week of college football. I did not get a chance to watch the whole game. I did watch the highlights, and I was very impressed by Notre Dame's offense, and especially their quarterback, DeShone Kizer. Obviously, in the last week and a half, a lot of people have been wondering who's going to be the starting quarterback in Notre Dame. DeShone Kizer, Malik Zaire. Malik Zaire actually got injured early on. I believe it was week 2 of last season. DeShone Kizer played the rest of the year, did very, very well, and actually led Notre Dame to the Fiesta Bowl. I know they didn't win it. They got pretty much blown out by Ohio State, but still, he looked very good. And I know a few people that are Notre Dame fans, and they also think that DeShone Kizer can definitely be the guy that can lead them to a lot of good things and hopefully a college football playoff berth. Now, what does this mean for Michigan State? Well, they're coming in after last season, if you remember, where they finished in the Final Four and got absolutely destroyed by Alabama in the Cotton Bowl in the semifinals of the college football playoff. They lost a couple of key players from last season, including quarterback Connor Cook and defensive end Shalik Calhoun. But they're still very good. They came off a blowout victory 2 weeks ago, and now they're after their bye week, which they're one of the earliest teams to get a bye week, will come into a very tough situation, going into South Bend later on today against this Fighting Irish team. I looked at a lot of things. I got a couple of sources that a lot of people believe that Notre Dame is obviously a favorite, but there was one interesting source that I found that he believes that Notre Dame is 17-point favorites. That's crazy to me. 17 points. I know Notre Dame's good, but Michigan State is still very good. They still have a lot of talent. Tyler O'Connor, their quarterback this year, he's a fifth-year guy, hasn't shown very much, but he's very good. He was the guy that helped lead Michigan State to that upset victory last season over Ohio State at Ohio State. So this is nothing new for O'Connor in the big-time spotlight. I expect this game to be a back-and-forth matchup. But in the end, I think I got to give it to Michigan State. I'm going to go with they're going to win this game 28-24 in overtime. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. You're definitely going to see some offense, and you're also going to see some really good defense. Both these teams' defenses are pretty good. Other than that, I just think you're in for a very exciting game between these two hated rivals. These two teams do not like each other. All right, next game we're going to talk about later on today is USC versus number 7 Stanford. This is another very interesting game. Stanford comes in after 2 weeks ago getting their opening week victory against the Kansas State Wildcats. USC, on the other hand, is coming off, first of all, getting blown out by Alabama 2 weeks ago to start the season, and then getting a blowout victory of their own. Now, you've seen the good and the bad of USC's offense with their quarterback Max Brown, and this is his first big chance in a big time game, first chance to really show what he can do. USC is still very young. Obviously, they're still trying to recover from some of the things that went on last year and all the frustration. But I think that they are going to get better. But to me, they look up and down. That's what they look like to me. They look like they can either be really good or really bad. And that's tough. You can't really win a lot of games and be really successful if your team's either going to be really up or really down. You got to be balanced. You got to be consistent in college football, especially if you want to make the playoff committee. If you want to impress the playoff committee, you have to show consistency. You have to show that you can beat teams on a consistent basis, and when you play big-time teams like Stanford, that you can come out and do really well. Now let's look at Stanford for a few minutes. What you have here is, like I said, Stanford came off a big victory against Kansas State. It was very close, very close. Stanford pulled away at the end. Christian McCaffrey, he looked pretty good. He scored a couple touchdowns, but he really didn't get off and running like people expected to. And obviously, look, it's only week 3, and this is only Stanford's second game. And a lot of these Heisman Trophy candidates, these front runners, it's going to take them time to get them fully ready. Obviously now McCaffrey hasn't played in 2 weeks because of the bye week that Stanford had. So hopefully he's ready to go. And I think that Stanford is really going to give him the ball as much as possible to take the pressure off quarterback Jake Christ for Stanford. So it's really going to be interesting to see how Stanford does. I think what they're going to try to do, like I said, is give McCaffrey the ball as much as possible so that Christ can open up the passing game. That's what they did against Kansas State. They gave McCaffrey the ball, and that set up their passing game. And then they started throwing the ball. So if Stanford can keep it balanced like they normally have a very balanced offense. I think they'll have a lot of success against the Trojans today. One thing I want to say about this game is that this is one of the few games that Stanford has on the schedule that's really going to dictate whether they're going to make the college football playoff or not. They also have a big matchup against Notre Dame later on this year. But this is the first big test for Stanford. Can they beat a team like USC? Obviously, they're not ranked. Actually, no, they are ranked, number 24 in the country. And you have to see how they play. They're at home. They're expected to win, and they're expected to do very well. So it all depends on just how everything goes. And so it's really going to be tough. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have a couple more matchups to go over. So we'll see you when we get back here on the NVP Show.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been.
From the corner of my eye, it looked like you were cueing him. That's why you're...
The way it always should be.
Yeah.
The way it always will be.
That's all.
Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
I thought it was my bad.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
What if you said... Oh, wait, no, you wouldn't know.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at alicia@whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Welcome back here on the NVP Show. I'm your host, Neil Piano. So let's continue on with our college football previews for today. Obviously, we went over Michigan State versus Notre Dame, and we also went over USC versus Stanford. Next game we're going to cover, and it's a big-time matchup. Number 2, Florida State versus number 10, Louisville. Obviously, College Game Day is there right now. They're having their show. If you're interested, check it out on ESPN. But this is a big game for both these teams. They're in the top 10, both of them. Florida State number 2 in the country. And even though it's still only week 3 of the year, this could be a game that could determine for both these teams whether they have a shot at making the college football playoff. This is what's so interesting about having this college football playoff now, in now just its 3rd season. All these teams, especially these early games, these early big-time games, you're looking at it and saying, wow, these games could really determine it. You look ahead to, you go up to week 10, and you look back at a game like this and say, wow, this game really dictated that we got into the college football playoff, or this game really dictated that, unfortunately, we couldn't get in. This is the reason we couldn't get in. So, obviously, like I said, big-time game, still very early on in the season. And that's what the typical college football fan likes to see, like myself. I love these big-time matchups. They're so much fun to watch. You love the pageantry of the fans. You love the game. I especially love the uniforms. That's just me. I'm a uniform nut. I love looking at these sweet uniforms. I saw what Louisville's going to be wearing today with the chrome red helmets, and it's just so awesome. And also Florida State with their classic road uniforms. I first got a glimpse at them in the Rose Bowl 2 years ago against Oregon, and I loved them. I thought they were great. I've always loved the Seminole helmet. So all in all, that's just one of the many things. And also, I can't get enough of these college fans that have these great game day signs that you see on TV. Some of them are very, very creative. These people must spend some time thinking about it. And they make you laugh. They make you laugh quite a bit, and I personally love it. I love that these fans show their passion for their school, passion for the team, and passion for the sport of college football. So all in all, I just love these type of matchups. But anyway, back to the game. Let's talk about Lamar Jackson, the quarterback at Louisville. I mentioned him last week, if you remember, talking about he had 17 total touchdowns. That was an error on my part. He has 13 total touchdowns through the first 2 games. But still, that is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. I know he's played a pretty weak team, and then he played a pretty good team in Syracuse, so he hasn't had a big test. But today is a big test. If he could put up some numbers like he's done in the first 2 games against a team like Florida State, the number 2 team in the country, you could make a case that not only Louisville could be worthy of making the college football playoff, but Lamar Jackson could easily be the Heisman Trophy favorite. And I think right now he is a favorite to a lot of people. He continues to put up stats. Look out. He could really be something. Now, I've had a few people ask me, do you think Lamar Jackson is an NFL-type quarterback? It's tough to say. You see a lot of these quarterbacks who run around and make plays and do a lot of things. Obviously, we saw RG3 do it when he was at Baylor, doing the same type of thing. You saw Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M a couple years ago doing the same thing, putting up gaudy numbers, crazy numbers, but didn't fan out in the NFL. That doesn't mean that everybody who puts up gaudy numbers in college means that they're automatically going to do poorly in the NFL. No. But I think it's still early to tell if Lamar Jackson is going to be an NFL quarterback. It's tough nowadays in the NFL because you see a lot of teams have their quarterback of the future and everything, so it's tough to really find a first-round quarterback. Obviously, you had a few teams like the Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles who are looking for a franchise quarterback, and they got it. There might be a few teams in the next 2 or 3 years that are looking for it, but I just need more time. I need more time to evaluate and look at Lamar Jackson the way he plays. Is he a tremendous football player? Absolutely. With his incredible running ability and his very impressive arm strength, I really like the way he plays the game. And he really seems to be leading the Louisville offense to a lot of points and doing very well in the process. Now, let's look at DeAndre Francois, the redshirt freshman quarterback for Florida State. He looked pretty good in the first game against Ole Miss. Big time television, Monday night, ESPN, in front of many people. A lot of people actually expected Ole Miss to win that game, and for the most part, they were dominating the first half. And then if you remember, if some of you saw, Jameis Winston, the former quarterback at Ohio State, got really pissed off and started yelling and challenging guys in the locker room and saying, let's go, we got to win this game, we're Florida State, we got this. And they came out and played a lot better in the second half. DeAndre Francois looked very good, he looked calm, cool, and collected, and he led them to a victory. And then last week against Charleston Southern, he lit it up, threw a couple touchdown passes, and continued to look good. So you just see how he's starting to progress into a very impressive college quarterback. So Florida State has got themselves a very talented quarterback running their offense. Now, what does this mean for the entire game? Well, both Louisville and Florida State, their defense is ho-hum. It's not one of the best I've ever seen, but they both are very good in some aspects. But I expect this to be a shootout, and I think a lot of fans expect it and want that. I know I want that. I want to see a shootout. I want to see a lot of points put up. I want to see high five and high flying, throwing the ball around, kicking mofobo, anything like that. Let's just get it rolling. Because that's what college football to me is about. Scoring a lot of points, having a lot of excitement. It's crazy how much fun it can be. And I expect this game to definitely be a very close game. And I actually have Louisville getting the upset. I'm going to go with 38-35 in triple overtime. Again, you're probably out there thinking, geez, Neil's going with these close overtime games. Well, you have to look at the fact that these teams are very evenly matched with their offenses and both their defenses. And it's going to come down to who wants it more. Will I be shocked if it's a blowout? Yes, absolutely. There'll be no doubt in my mind. But if it's a close game, I shouldn't be that surprised because both these teams are evenly talented. So that should be a very fun matchup to see. And one last thing I want to talk about in this game is Dalvin Cook. Obviously, he was a Heisman Trophy candidate and favorite going into this season. He struggled in the first game. If you remember against Ole Miss, he caught a wide open pass, was going to walk into the end zone, but fumbled the ball out of bounds, and that led to Florida State only kicking a field goal, and that was pretty embarrassing. And he's only scored 2 touchdowns so far, and it looks like he's really been struggling. So, again, another Heisman Trophy candidate who a lot of people expect to have a good season, off to a slow start, but hey, 9 more games left in a year, including a conference championship and a bowl game. It's still too early to tell who's going to win the Heisman and who's really looking out there for everybody. So let's just see how this plays out. But like I said, if I were you guys, I would definitely tune into that game. It should be really exciting tonight, and let's just see how it all goes down. Next game we're going to talk about. This is very interesting because not a lot of teams like to talk about this, and that's North Dakota State versus Iowa. And you're thinking, Division I AA, FCS, whatever you want to call it, versus Division I team. Where have we seen this before? Well, let's just remember here, North Dakota State has won 5 consecutive national championships in FCS. They are the best team in FCS, and a lot of people were saying, why don't they move up? I think they were even offered, if I'm not mistaken, they were offered the chance to move up to Division I Single A, and they declined not to. And why would you accept it? You got a really good thing going in Division II. And Division I AA. I'm getting this totally confused today, my bad. But you have to realize that they have a good thing going, and why would they want to screw it up? Just so that they can get more coverage? What if they go into their first year in whatever conference they're in FBS, and only win like 3 games? Then people are going to say, oh, why the heck did they do that? Maybe they're not that good. They got a good thing going, and they're playing some division and some FBS teams. So it's not like they're not playing really good competition. And let me tell you something. There are some teams in the FCS that are also very good besides North Dakota State. I can promise you that. I've watched a bunch of games from those teams, and they're very good. They can do it, including a team like Eastern Washington with the red turf and everything. They're very good to watch. So don't count out FCS teams in games like this. But going to the game. So let's talk about the quarterback for Iowa, C.J. Beathard. A lot of people think he's probably going to be the top quarterback in this year's draft, unless Deshaun Watson declares for the NFL draft or he stays for another year. We have to wait and see. Nobody's announcing anything yet. Nobody's announced what they're doing. But a lot of people say C.J. Beathard is your typical drop-back quarterback. He has some mobility, but at the same time, he's known more for his arm. I didn't really get a chance to watch him play until last year in the Big Ten Championship game against Michigan State. And he looked pretty good, honestly. He really seemed to be lighting it up and really playing well. So, and also, even though they struggled a lot against Stanford, in the Rose Bowl, he looked pretty good. So, I would have to wait and see how their offense is going to click. Iowa's number 13 in the country, so they're right there in the middle. They're in the Big Ten West Division, so they were the Big Ten West champions last year, and I think that they have a good shot at being it this year. So we have to wait and see. I expect Iowa to come out and play pretty well, but I still think North Dakota State has a very good chance. It's definitely going to be interesting. Now let's talk about North Dakota State for a second, the Bisons, as they like to be called. What makes me a little bit nervous, and it's just me, is the fact that their first two games, first against Charleston Southern and then Eastern Washington, both were in overtime. Actually, I believe double overtime, I'm not correct, but I might have to check on that. Overtime games. So they were very close. And so you look at it and you say, geez, what's going to happen here? Well, it makes you nervous because obviously the defense looks like they've given up a lot of points. They've given up, I believe, almost 70, and their offense has scored about 80 some odd, so it's kind of even with how good and bad their defense is. So to me, they're kind of like up and down like USC, up and down, up and down. Obviously, they lost their top quarterback, Carson Wentz, from last season to the NFL draft, but they have to move on, and they've continued to look good. They're 2-0, and I think that they definitely are a favorite to once again win the FCS National Championship. But going into this game, this could really help determine. It's different. Let me explain. It's different in FCS because they don't do it by rankings. They do a big 16-team bracket. So it's not like it matters college football playoff to them. But it will help them in gaining confidence. If they could beat a team as good as Iowa, the number 13 team in the country, look out. North Dakota State's going to be a very dangerous team. And isn't it great that a team from such a unknown state like North Dakota, and this is no disrespect to people who live in North Dakota, but isn't it it's kind of random, but at the same time, it's like great. College Game Day has been there several times, and it is packed. They love it. They love their college football there. It's so much fun to watch, and it's really enjoyable. All right, so we're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we have another few matchups to get to, so we'll see you when you get back here on the MVP Show.
Today's show is sponsored by Hargrove Demolition, your demolition experts. Hargrove is a family-owned and operated business right here in the southern New Jersey area, bringing you 45 years of demolition expertise. Hargrove has all your demolition needs, from emergency demolition service to demolition equipment rental. Hargrove is one of the state-approved recycling facilities right here in the southern New Jersey area. No job is too big or too small for Hargrove Demolition. Contact them today at one of their 3 locations.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
All right, welcome back here on the NVP Show. I'm your host, Neil Piana. Let's continue on with some of our college football previews. Next game we're going to talk about is probably my personal favorite of the day. And you would think, well, what about Florida State versus Louisville? Well, like I said, it is a big game, and it's very interesting to watch. But this game I'm going to talk about right now is my personal favorite. And that's number 22 Oregon, heading down to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers. Pac-12 versus Big Ten. I love this. I love when Big Ten teams play Pac-12 teams. That's why I love watching the Rose Bowl, because you see these are two of the top conferences in the country, and it's really exciting to watch. I really love watching these games. Now let's talk about the game itself. Oregon, like I said, number 22 in the country, so they're in the top 25. You haven't heard a lot about the University of Oregon since Marcus Mariota left, because Oregon's been struggling to do as well, but they had Vernon Adams last year. They looked good. They didn't do as well as they would have liked. They ended up losing in a crazy Alamo Bowl game against TCU, and it was crazy. If you don't believe me, go look at the highlights. It was nutty. But this year, Oregon's a lot different. They have a lot of new guys, including their freshman quarterback, Danny Prukop, who will make his first big-time start. He's been the starter, but this is, like I said, another one of these young quarterbacks that is making his first big-time national TV type game. And the quarterback battle that we have today is the young kid versus the veteran. And the veteran is Tommy Armstrong Jr., the senior quarterback of Nebraska. And he's going in. I saw him play a couple of years ago against USC in their bowl game, and he looked pretty good. And I think he's going to look good today. I think he's got a chance to really open up the Cornhusker offense and really get things rolling. Now, what you have in this game is fast-paced offenses. And obviously, as most people know, Oregon always is up-tempo, trying to get the ball, trying to score as many points as possible. Does Oregon have a quarterback like Marcus Mariota? I don't know. I haven't really watched Oregon that much of the first 2 weeks. I'll get a chance to see them play today. But you look at Prukop, he looks pretty good. He looks like he can throw the ball, he can throw it deep, get things rolling. He's very athletic. He can do everything. So it's going to be very interesting to watch. How they run the offense today. And Nebraska, they're also known for a lot of good talented offensive players, including, like I said, Tommy Armstrong Jr. and Westerkamp as well. I love Westerkamp, by the way. If you have a chance to look him up, he's very good. He was the guy that made the behind-the-back catch last year on the sidelines. I was like, wow, who is this guy? I got a chance to even see him play live when I went to go see him play against Rutgers, and he was very good. And I really like this guy. So watch out for him, too. He could be a very interesting player in this game today. But like I said, fast-paced offenses versus mediocre defense. Both Oregon and Nebraska, through the first 2 games, have averaged giving up over 500 yards of total offense. That's not good at all. That's really bad. That tells me that they have a lot of work to do. And both these teams have done pretty well to start the year, but still, they got a lot of work to do. Because if they want to have success and even think about making college football playoff or even making a big bowl game, they got to correct those things on defense. Because sometimes the offense might not be clicking and you have to rely on your defense to make some plays in order to keep the game going and keep you in it. So if Oregon and Nebraska want to win this game, they have to take advantage of what's still a mediocre defense that they're facing and light it up. They can't take too many chances with having to punt the ball or force field goals. They really have to score some touchdowns to really run away with these games. What do I think is going to happen? Well, I think it's going to be another shootout. Offensive shootout, back and forth, back and forth. But I have Oregon winning this game. I'm going to say 31-24. Again, another close one-score game. Not in overtime. It's going to be regulation. I think Danny Prukop is going to throw at least 2 touchdowns, and I think also Tommy Armstrong Jr. will throw a couple touchdowns of his own. I hope that there's more scoring than what I predicted, but still, I think you're going to have a close game, a shootout, and it should be very exciting to watch. So far, you guys, again, that's another game. If you're really into college football, make sure you watch that game because you don't know. And obviously, look, we all love Oregon's uniforms, so that's another chance to see them wear the crazy uniforms that Nike gives them. Because, like, in case you don't know, the Nike headquarters is right in Eugene, Oregon, right by the University of Oregon campus. So that's why Oregon, if you wonder, why do they get so many uniforms? Seems like they have a uniform for every single game. That's your reason. That's one of your main reasons, to be honest with you. But that is a really exciting game to watch, and so I can't wait to look at that one. And now we have, in my opinion, the biggest game of the day, and that is number 3 Ohio State traveling to Norman to take on the Oklahoma Sooners, the number 6 Oklahoma Sooners, ladies and gentlemen. You have a very, very good matchup. J.T. Barrett versus Baker Mayfield. 2 Heisman Trophy candidates right now. Obviously, Oklahoma lost their first game, got upset 33-23 against Houston. Ohio State has gone on its way to blow the doors off their first 2 opponents. And both these teams, another big offensive matchup. This is what I'm talking about. In college football nowadays, you have a lot of offensive firepower with these teams, especially with the spread offense. Oklahoma doesn't run these spread offenses much, but still, a lot of offense and a lot of excitement. So again, another exciting matchup. Personally not my favorite, but again, if you're an Ohio State fan, Oklahoma fan, college football fan, whatever it is, this is a game you want to keep your eyes on. Like I said, we have J.T. Barrett versus Baker Mayfield. An interesting story is that the backup quarterback for Oklahoma called out the Ohio State defense and said they're one-dimensional, they're not very good, Baker Mayfield should tear them up. And I'm thinking, boy, that is not what you want to do. Against a team, Urban Meyer coached the Ohio State team, that's not the right thing to do. That's very, very bad. Especially from the backup quarterback, are you serious? What if Baker Mayfield, and I hope this doesn't happen, and I'm not wishing this on anybody, but what if Baker Mayfield goes in? And all of a sudden, the guy who was talking a lot of smack is going to be in the game. And we're going to have to see what he does against the so-called one-dimensional defense. So, again, another good game. And I'm really looking forward to this because what you have is offensive firepower, and this is not mediocre defenses. Both these defenses are very good. I don't know what people are talking about. Ohio State continues to have a very good defense. It's hard right now to notice like who are the big stars on Ohio State besides J.T. Barrett. 2 or 3 years ago, you could tell who were the big stars besides him. But nowadays, it's tougher because you don't know who's going to be there, who's going to make plays. So that's why it's interesting to watch this game because you don't know what's going to happen, and you want to see what happens. And this could be a game, another game, that could determine a team's fate in the college football playoff. Ohio State number 3, Oklahoma number 6. It's just going to be a back-and-forth shootout. Prediction for this game. I have the Oklahoma Sooners winning this game 38-24. And you're thinking, you were just praising both these teams. You were praising their offenses. Yeah, but look at it. Ohio State has that no-huddle spread offense, and they looked very good. And if their defense looks like they played against Houston, and they give up 33 points, but obviously all 33 wasn't because of the defense, it's going to be a long day for that Oklahoma Sooners defense, and especially playing at home. And J.T. Barrett, I think in my opinion, plays a lot better on the road than he does at home. And I saw him play against Michigan last year in Ann Arbor, and he looked really good. And he's played in some big-time games, and I think he feels good that now he's that guy. Last year he had that competition with Cardell Jones for the starting job. Now he's the main guy. There's nobody above him. It's his job to lose. And so he's been doing very well, and I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't, guys. Just hear me out here. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw him as a Heisman Trophy finalist at the end of the season. And also I wouldn't be surprised if once again you saw Ohio State on the verge of making the college football playoff. Because if they win a game like this, they're moving up in the standings regardless of what happens today. Either it's 1 spot, 2 spots, or whatever. They are going to move up. Because you're beating a team like Oklahoma, and I could do it. And also for Oklahoma, if they lose today, that could really screw them up. Because if you lose to Houston, who's obviously in the top 10 and very good, and you lose to Ohio State, who's in the top 4 and also very good, like the College Football Playoff Committee said that they're not going to criticize a lot of teams for losing against big-time teams. But a team like Oklahoma, it would be tough because you don't know what's going to happen. So we have to understand that it's going to be tough for the playoff committee to want to keep a team like Oklahoma in if they don't win. But if they do win, that gives Oklahoma a big chance because then all of a sudden, bam, they're getting ready for their Big 12 games. And they're getting ready to roll. And this game could really boost their confidence, especially Baker Mayfield, and really get them off and running so that they can go on and do a lot of good things. And a team, a Urban Meyer coach team, what you have to understand is a very fast-paced team. They're fast on offense, they're fast on defense, they're fast on special teams. They are fast all the time. Their definition is fast. They love to run the no-huddle offense. They love to run the spread. I know Urban Meyer loves it. He loved it when he had Tim Tebow at Florida, and he loves it with J.T. Barrett. He loved it with Braxton Miller, and he loved it with Cardell Jones. This system does work. He won He won 3 national championships with this system. So if the team is struggling, it's not going to be because of the system, in my opinion. It's going to be because of the players not doing well. And that's tough because you're criticizing the players. You're thinking they're not doing that well. Sometimes it is the system, and other times it's not. To me, this is just the system is this good, and if you have the right players that Ohio State does, you're in for a lot of talent, a lot of scoring, a lot of big plays, and a lot of excitement. And for the typical college football fan, that's what you really, 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 really want to see, because that is a lot of excitement, and it's just enjoyable to watch on TV. Even if you dislike both teams, you still say, wow, what an exciting game. Do I like Notre Dame and Texas? No. But I enjoyed watching the game because it was exciting and there was a lot of offense. Do I like Houston, Oklahoma? No. Again, I love the offensive firepower. I'm an offensive guy. I love it. I know people that love seeing defenses do really well and kick Mofobo, but I personally love offenses. They're very, very exciting to me. And it's just amazing. You see those highlight packages, you get excited and everything. And these are the things to help determine also how teams play in the NFL. So all you have to understand is that it's really, really exciting. And also I just want to make it clear that we have to understand that what you have in these games is just tremendous, like I said, again, tremendous excitement. And also the fact that you're just going to have lots of fun. This is why I love college football. All right, we're going to take our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to cover our last 2 games of the year, and then I'm going to sign off and get you guys ready for the Philly Sports Guys. We'll see when we get back here on the NVP Show.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. So what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum.
Welcome back here to our final segment here on the NVP Show. We're going to talk about our last couple of college football previews, and then I'll get you guys ready to watch the Philly sports guys. So make sure to tune into them after the end of this show. Next game we're going to talk about, a big SEC matchup, is we have number 1 Alabama at Ole Miss, number 19 Ole Miss. Remember 2 weeks ago, Ole Miss was kicking Mofobo in the first half against Florida State in the first game of the season, and then just kicked it away and let Florida State score 30-plus unanswered points and blew them out in the second half. It made it look like it was a laugher. And now Ole Miss is number 19 and possibly on the verge of getting knocked out and being unranked going to the next game unless they can beat Alabama again. And what I mean by again is that Ole Miss has won the last 3 consecutive games against the Alabama Crimson Tide. So obviously Alabama, number 1 team in the country, defending national champs. Their only loss last year was against Ole Miss in the first couple weeks when Ole Miss came into Alabama and upset them. So it's going to be a very fun game to watch because this is a little bit different. Ole Miss is obviously known for a lot of its passing game with their quarterback Chad Kelly, the nephew of Hall of Fame quarterback Jim Kelly, in case you didn't know that. There you go. And then you have Jalen Hurts from Alabama, a freshman quarterback. He's getting his feet wet. He looked pretty good against the USC Trojans. He looked good last week. But what was interesting about last week is that even though Alabama won and won easily, head coach Nick Saban just flipped out on Lane Kiffin, their offensive coordinator, that they weren't playing well. And he said that they just did not look good. They didn't look like they were ready. And if they lose today and don't look good, that could be a reason to say Nick Saban is one of those guys that makes it so uncomfortable to lose, regardless of what it is. He looks so upset when they lose. He looks dejected. When they lost to Ole Miss last year, I saw him in the press conference, he looked dejected. When they lost to Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl 2 years ago in the college football playoff semifinal, he looked dejected. He makes it so uncomfortable to lose. I've seen him behind the scenes. I've seen him yelling at his players in practice. He is somebody you don't want to piss off because he is a perfectionist. He really wants to make his team do well, and that's why he's won a couple national championships and made Alabama what it is today. So, like I said, the Rebels have won the last 3 matchups, and they look good doing it. They look really good doing it. And now they're at home against Alabama. They're going to have a lot of people behind them. The crowd's going to be in there. But I think Alabama's going to win this game. Chad Kelly, to me, he could look good, but he also could look really bad. And he looked really bad in the second half against Florida State. He really did. It was tough because what you saw is that you saw a team that was so confident in themselves that said, we're beating out Florida State. We're going to go on and move on in the rankings, and we got a really good shot. They just did not do well in the second half. They did not play well. They looked like garbage, and Chad Kelly just looked very, very bad. And I think and I don't mean to be mean, but he looks very overrated to me. I know a lot of people loved him. I saw him play in that Sugar Bowl last year against Oklahoma State, and he lit it up. He looked really good, and I was like, wow, this guy's great. And then in the SEC Media Day a few weeks ago before the season started, he declared that he's the best quarterback in the SEC. That may or may not be true, but the way he's been playing, the way he played 2 weeks ago, he doesn't look that good to me. But we'll have to wait and see. They got the win last week. They got to turn around. They got to win today because that will keep their SEC championship dreams alive, and it keeps their college football playoff dreams alive. Everything. It could be based on this one game. Like I said, even though it's early in the season, a game like this could really determine whether you make it or you don't. It really does. And so, like I said, Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about him for a little bit. Like I said, played really well against USC 2 weeks ago. He looked pretty good against his other opponent. I forgot off the top of my head, and that's my fault. I apologize. But he looks good, and he looks like he's comfortable. But now he's in a big-time matchup on national TV. I love it that you got a chance today. You, the fans, get a chance to see a bunch of young quarterbacks playing in their first big-time matchup on national TV, ESPN, ABC, NBC, regardless of what channel it is. You know you're going to have thousands of fans glued to their TVs wanting to watch this game. If you're an Alabama fan, like I know some people are, you want to watch this game. You're big because you know. What's interesting though about Alabama is the fact that if they lose, they could drop. They'll definitely drop. I don't know how badly they'll drop it. I guess it'll depend on how bad they lose and what's the final score and everything like that. But this could be just like last year, where if they lose this game but end up winning the rest of their games and win the SEC championship and everything like that, does it matter? No. But Ole Miss wants to make this now 4 consecutive years of victory. But you know Nick Saban's pissed off. He wants this. He definitely wants to not only beat Ole Miss, but blow them out. Because Ole Miss came into Alabama's home stadium and beat them up and upset them and danced around the field and had a good time and everything like that. Now Alabama wants to make them pay for that. I got a friend who goes to Ole Miss, and she's very excited for this game, and she's very confident that they're going to beat Alabama. We'll have to wait and see. I think it's going to be a good game, and I think Alabama's winning this game. And I'm going to go with they're going to win this game 24-14. And that's just me. I just think Alabama, they have all 6 rated prospects. They have the best offensive line in college football. They have an offensive line that if you put them together in the NFL, they could do well. That's the whole point. If they can establish the running game like they're known for and help develop Jalen Hurts to make him comfortable throwing the ball, that's game over. But if you shut down that running game and you force Jalen Hurts to run around and make plays and have to throw the ball more than he wants to, that's when you know you got a chance to beat them. But if you can't do that, I don't care who's the quarterback of Alabama. You're going to make him look good, you're going to make the whole team look good. And you're just not going to be successful. And I know this because I've seen it. I saw Michigan State last year in the Cotton Bowl not only get smacked, but looked like they didn't even show up against Alabama. And they did nothing to stop them. They couldn't stop them. Obviously, that was more the passing game than the running game, but you couldn't stop it. If you can't stop one part of their dimension, how are you going to stop the other? If you can't stop them, you're done. If you don't shut down Alabama, especially early on in the game, you're done. I know Alabama is a team that a lot of times gets off to slow starts. If you don't take advantage of that slow start, if you don't put up points right then and there and destroy their confidence and put them down, you are going to get smacked. You're going to get smacked. I know this. I've seen it. Believe me. I've watched enough Alabama football to know that this is how they play. I will be shocked if they came out and started off hot, Alabama I mean. But like I said, this is Ole Miss I'm talking about. Ole Miss fans, if you're watching, Ole Miss football players, in case you're watching it, in that case, welcome to the NVP show. You got to shut them down. You got to shut them down early, and you got to score. If that means you got to go for it on 4th and 5 from your own 35-yard line to get a spark, to get the offense rolling and score some touchdowns, do it. Because you don't want to blow a chance like this to play the #1 team in the country at home with a chance that you lost and got blown out in the second half of the game against Florida State, to redeem yourselves, to start off on the high note on the SEC and get it rolling, because you need this type of play. Because if you, like I said, if you don't shut them down, you are screwed. You are screwed. And Alabama's going to kick some major mofobo on offense, and especially on defense, if you don't shut them down early on. But like I said, I think Alabama's going to win this game, but I wouldn't be that shocked if Ole Miss came out with the victory. But they have to shut them down early. They really do. That is the key. If they don't do that, they are done. You will not see Ole Miss win this game. I don't care who you are. I don't care who is playing quarterback. I don't care if Joe Montana came back and played quarterback for Ole Miss. I don't care if Archie Manning came back. You will not see them come back. I'm sorry. Because Alabama's defense and their whole team is just that good. And they're too good to be let up. You can't let up against them. You got to blow them out and kick their butts when they're down. That's just how you have to do it. So we'll have to wait and see how that game goes. And the last game I want to cover is a local game, because obviously this has all been national, but I want to talk a little local. New Mexico comes in and takes on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights today at noon at High Point Solutions Stadium. Rutgers coming off a blowout 52-14 victory last week. Chris Ash got his first victory against Howard, after getting blown out in the first week against number 7 Washington. Excuse me. And Rutgers looks to come in, and I think they're expected to win. You have a spread offense versus a triple option. I love this. I love this offense. I love the triple option. That's why I love watching Air Force and Navy and Army. I love when they run these offenses because they're so creative. They don't throw the ball very much. They run the ball a considerable amount. But they are always very creative, and it's fun to watch. Rutgers defense, if you go into this game, if you have to say what do they struggle the most on defense, it's the running game. And that's what makes it nervous. If you're a Rutgers fan, you're saying, wow, New Mexico runs the triple option. They're going to run the ball most of the time. Rutgers needs to shut down that running game. If they shut down that running game, they're forcing New Mexico to throw the ball, which they don't do very much, and that can make it for a very long day for the Lobos. Speaking of the Lobos, they come into this game after getting upset at home against their in-state rival, New Mexico State University. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they play. And so we'll have to wait and see. Should be another matchup. But I want to say thank you all very much for watching today's show. I really appreciate it. I hope you all had a great time listening in. I hope you get a chance to watch a couple of these games. Make sure you stay tuned after I'm done. The Philly sports guys are coming up. Pete and Aaron, always a good time. A lot of laughs, a lot of fun. Talk about the NFL recap with Carson Wentz getting his first NFL start. Talk about the Eagles' next game here against the Bears tomorrow. So thank you all very much, and have a great day for all you NVPs out there. We'll see you next time.
Today's show is sponsored by Hargrove Demolition, your demolition experts. Hargrove is a family-owned and operated business right here in the southern New Jersey area, bringing you 45 years of demolition expertise. Hargrove has all your demolition needs, from emergency demolition service to demolition equipment rental. Hargrove is one of the state-approved recycling facilities right here in the southern New Jersey area. No job is too big or too small for Hargrove Demolition. Contact them today at one of their 3 locations.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. the way it always should be, the way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures,